Number 1. She signed with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. You may not have noticed, and judging by the television ratings at the time, you probably didn't, but Chyna was one of the many former WWE talents to link up with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling for a period of time. Chyna debuted in TNA when the company was taping shows in May 2011, and she was placed in an angle, no pun intended, involving Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. Her stint with TNA did not last long, however, and she explained in September 2011 that she went home following the completion of her storyline and I never heard from them again. Number 2. She signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Chyna did not retire from the wrestling industry after her relationship with the WWE ended. She instead ventured overseas and found employment in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just as was the case during her early days in the WWE, the idea behind Chyna being given a shot in NJPW was for her to face off with and defeat male wrestlers. Chyna even notched a victory over a young Hiroshi Tanahashi. Unfortunately for Chyna, however, she did not get over among crowds as she did while working in the WWE. She was not with NJPW for Number 3, a turbulent departure from WWE. The personal and professional downfalls of Chyna can be traced back to 2001. Chyna and Triple H had ended their relationship, and Triple H had begun an on-screen and real-life relationship with Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of Vince McMahon. The combination of Chyna allegedly wanting an increase in pay, Chyna supposedly being upset about the fact that Triple H and Stephanie were dating, Chyna losing her political protection with it. Number 4. Jeff Jarrett was paid to lose his title to her. Chyna became the first woman in history to win the Intercontinental Championship in 1999. That historic feat was not, however, why her title victory remains remembered by wrestling fans. Jeff Jarrett was the holder of the championship when his contract with the WWE expired. Jarrett had agreed to make a return to WCW, and he refused to drop the championship to Chyna unless he received financial compensation for doing the job. According to Dave Meltzer, Jarrett received roughly $200. Number 5. Chyna's rise was helped by Triple H. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, Chyna was protected in matches and in the creative process because of her relationship with Triple H. Triple H became a favorite of Vince McMahon in time, and thus Triple H was able to open opportunities for Chyna. Chyna not only earned victories against male wrestlers because of her spot in the company. She became the first woman in history to hold a title that was held by all-time greats. Number 6. DX vs. Now. Those who grew up watching wrestling in the 1990s most likely remember Chyna as being associated with the first version of the stable D-Generation X. An interesting note about this is that Chyna could have been in a different famous group that was formed in WCW. According to her book If They Only Knew, the plan for Chyna, had she agreed to join WCW, was for her to ultimately be placed in the New World Order. The group formed by former WWE talents Scott Hall, Kevin Nash and Number 7, she had a lot of firsts. Chyna was unlike any other female performer in the WWE at the time of her debut, and her build and her physical abilities helped her make history on multiple occasions. She became the first woman to ever be awarded with a berth in a King of the Ring tournament. Chyna was the first woman to be named the number 1 contender for the WWF Championship, a title that she never held while working for the company. Chyna was also the first woman to be given a spot in Royal Rumble match, and she will go down as the first woman in history to ever eliminate a wrestler during a Royal Rumble. Number 8. The name. The WWE has a long history of renaming wrestlers so that the company can hold trademarks for those names. It was no different with Laurer, who eventually became known as Chyna. According to upnews.com, Chyna was given this name as a play on words. Fine Chyna, after all, is easily broken and delicate. That was not the case with Chyna, who was tough and who often got involved in Triple H's matches during her days by his side. It is a sad irony that she was given the name Chyna, though, as we know all too well just how fragile the person was following her days in the WWE. Number 9. WCW wanted her. Stories of Chyna's first potential breaks in the wrestling industry vary per the source and when that tale was documented. According to Kowalski, WCW approached Chyna about signing for the company in the 1990s. It was around that time when Kowalski approached Shane McMahon, son of WWE Chairman Vince McMahon. Kowalski informed Shane that the WWE's main competition wanted to acquire Chyna, and Kowalski has also claimed that it was he who pushed Chyna. Number 10. She was trained by the same man as Triple H. Chyna was trained to become a wrestler by Killer Kowalski, pictured above, at Kowalski's Massachusetts gym. The irony there, of course, is that it was Kowalski who also trained Triple H. While Triple H and Chyna would forever be linked for a variety of reasons, the two were not immediately paired together following training sessions. Triple H, as die-hard wrestling fans know, started out as the character Rising before he eventually made number 11. She had many pre-wrestling jobs. Like many other people who never locate fame and fortune, Chyna spent a good deal of time attempting to find herself before she became involved in wrestling. Chyna was a singer in a band, and her vocal skills also led her to receiving a gig with a 900-number chat line. Her impressive physique allowed her to find work as a belly dancer. Chyna also trained to become a flight attendant. It would turn out, however, that none of those jobs were long-term. Number 12. She earned a degree in Spanish literature. Some may assume, from remembering how she looked during her run in the WWE, that Chyna was merely a jock who fell into the wrestling business. That was not the case. Well before Chyna was beating up men on WWE programming, she earned a degree in Spanish literature from the University of Tampa. That was not all that big of a stretch for Chyna, as she finished high school in Spain. Chyna's plan was to join the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation or the Drug 13. Little known facts about former WWE wrestler Chyna. Number 13. She had a rough childhood. The woman who would become known as the 9th wonder of the world was born Joan Marie Laurer on December 27, 1969. Chyna was born in Rochester, New York, pictured above. Following her days in the WWE, Chyna discussed in interviews that she had a rough upbringing. She described her father as an alcoholic, and she also claimed that she was abused as a child.